So in this episode we're going to focus on building a turbo manifold for this 2012 Mini. And I'll show you all the steps that I use to do that. So I've got the stock turbo removed. It was tiny. This customer wants he wants about 300 horsepower. So I went with a Garrett GT2871, which is one of my favorite street turbos for 300 to 400 horsepower with one of their new V-band housings. It's a tiny guy. You can see I've got a flange there. It's stainless, flame cut. I switched to that years ago. It's been great. And I've got a random stack of elbows. I'm going to use Schedule 10 on this, and actually 1.25" pipe diameter because the ports in the head are so small. Most Hondas use 1.5". So here I'm cutting the collector. This is the flange. And to start, you get the turbo roughly where you want it. And then you start cutting your collector length and then the first cut. So the first thing I do is find the best pairs. Looks like these are it on this one. Ooh, that one moved. Which isn't a big deal because we're going to be cutting it off. See the gap in the middle, there's a big gap. That whole side's getting cut off though, so I'm not worried about it. Got two halves, and from here we cut each one side off of each. In this case, the gappy side. The bandsaw must have twisted in the middle of cutting. So this is how I load it. I take each half. Load it like that. And when you mirror it to the other half, it lines up and makes a perfect merge collector. We'll cut both these and join them together. So I've got these welded. These are after they're cut. It's hard to get the light in there, but That's how they go together. Nice 4-to-1 merge collector, and then I have to weld all that. Got that welded. Sitting there, nice little merge, 4-to-1. And I have to weld around that. My goal is to get that as smooth as those two are. There it is. It's a 4-to-1 merge collector, custom built for the mini project. And made a base plate for the jig. I built a jig, which you can see. Head flange, wastegate. You can see the collector, obviously, that is there. I've also already located and welded the wastegate and built 2 runners. The 2 runners are fabricated on the car, and then these remaining 2 here were just done on the bench. Based on where the car tolerances are at, basically in between these 2 cylinders is where the alternator is. So just had to make it fit. And now I'm going to sit down and weld up these last 2 runners, and then that manifold's done. So here's a full manifold, mostly welded, 2 runners done, and then I've freehand fabricated the last 2, which you can see are not welded to the manifold yet, to the collector. I'm going to take this out of the jig and fit it on the car to make sure the freehand runners fit. I'm 99.9% sure they will, but if I need to adjust something, it's going to be a lot easier to do without everything connected, because I cannot cut those runners off once they're welded in. Here we are with the turbo installed to the manifold. The manifold just single bolted to the engine, but you can get a visual. Actually have a lot of room right here, which is great. The downpipe is going to be a lot of fun because it has to come off the turbo, bend forward a little bit, and then it has to shoot down underneath. I'm only going to do a 2.5-inch downpipe on this. I think we'll be fine getting away with that. Mainly for room, but also for power. I mean, this isn't going to be a 600 horsepower car, so. And then you can see the wastegate right there. It is a tight fit. But I have to do recirculated wastegate on this, which is going to come out of there and into the downpipe. So now that all that's confirmed fit, take it off. I'll squish the runners to match the port, and then the manifold will be done. Here's a completed manifold. It's always fun to get up in there. There it is. You can see some of the full penetration in the runners there. That's how you do it. So far I have 17 hours into building this manifold. So for you guys that try to lowball your fabricators, don't. It's a big chunk of their lives building your cool stuff.